do the sex.
Today's locker room talk topic is how long should sex last, according to women? And today, I have Ruby, aka Deanna, back in the studio with me to talk about what women think about how long sex should last. And our cocktail, our shot for the, afternoon, it's actually pretty early in the day, is the Lick Bang Blow. Now, it's not, you're not going to find a Lick Bang Blow on the internet because it was the Suck Bang Blow. And I felt like that was very cock oriented. I felt like we would make it inclusive by throwing in a lick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ruby.
Yes.
Let's talk about our favorite podcast so far. Which one is it?
Well, the last one we did seems to be very popular.
And what was it called?
And that was the semen facial.
Mm-hmm. What women really think about men's jizz, spoo, cum, ejaculate.
It was a lot of fun to do, and it was even more fun to listen to. So if you haven't listened to it, which a lot of you have, but if you haven't, you need to go listen to it because it is really good.
It's really good, and you will learn a lot from us ladies, I think.
Oh, yeah.
We laid down some wisdom. We laid down some real wisdom on facial. So, but we're excited to talk about how long sex should last. We have strong opinions, right?
We do. We always have strong opinions.
We always do. We do. And we will not guide you wrong.
Never.
No? Mm-mm. So let's get this started. Raise our glasses. Now let's talk about sex.
Let's do it.
I want to kick this conversation off with, of course, the information I discovered in advance for all of us to ponder together. I wanted to research what science says about how long sex should last. And I think the most important thing that I uncovered in my studies up front is that we all have a one definition of what sex is, apparently. And it is dick in vagina, and beginning, I assume, with insertion and ending definitely with ejaculation. Science considers that to be sex. Now, we got some time to talk about this, but that's inherently problematic. And it is problematic for queer folks, but it is also problematic, in my opinion, for straight folks, especially men. And we'll get to that. But the one study that I found cited again and again and again consisted of a bunch of sex therapists who had spoken to women and had asked them what the desirable length of time for penetrative sex to last was. And what they found in their response from, let me be even more clear, heterosexual women in particular. And I feel so bad for you bitches after like reading these studies. I'm like, oh, my heterosexual women. We got to sit down and talk, ladies. But what I found was that what they were told was 7 to 13 minutes of penetrative sex was the desirable window of getting pounded by a cock before it ejaculates.
Not that long of a time.
No. So, I mean, for my male listeners out there, fuck, the pressure's off, right? I guess that should be good news for some of you. For me, I'm like, I think there might be a whole bunch of bad sex going on out there.
Yeah, and I don't know if that puts the pressure off, because even though it's not a long amount of time, the focus of the time is all centered around the man's performance. Mm-hmm. So there might be more pressure put on.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's the problem with the way that we as a society are approaching sex. Like, I mean, really what it comes down to, the larger conversation, which we aren't going to attack completely in this episode, is what is sex?
Right.
And look, I know I have made this assumption that all of the people looking up how long sex should last are most likely humans with penises, and most likely heterosexual men with penises. Although that's not how we're going to approach this conversation, because I, as a queer woman, have actually found myself while having sex with another woman wondering the exact same thing as my fucking fist was slowly giving out. That's right. Sometimes a hand can go limp, folks. Really can.
It happens.
It happens. So, yeah, so it's problematic. It's problematic to me that quote science or scientific research or a study that is considered a study even focuses on the definition of sex being penetrative, like dick and vagina, then coming. And I get, like, I don't know, people can argue it's biology and, they were looking at it biological, but I believe we've evolved as a society past us, approaching sex in that way, regardless of your identity, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, so if we're talking about it as biology, sex, when we talk about sex, we're talking about pleasure.
Right.
When you're talking about insertion of a penis in a vagina and ejaculation, that is creating another life. That is how
procreation, mating.
Right.
It is mating.
That is mating. So that is not sex.
Oh, I like that, Deanna.
So if you really want to look at it scientifically, you're thinking about the act of procreation rather than the act of sex, because sex has nothing to do with procreation. It's all pleasure.
Wow. Well, folks, there you go. Yeah, you're right. Sex and mating are two different things.
Absolutely.
So, hey, guys, you've been looking up the wrong question. It should have been, how long does mating take? And in that case, however long it takes you to come. And
There you
that's
go.
There you go. Yeah. 7 minutes. So I want to go further. All right. So this was the first study I looked up. It was very quote sciencey, and like, here are the numbers. This is how long, you should last if you want to be desirable. But then I stumbled upon the next article, which was published in GQ. I didn't expect much of it because of that. And it said it was how long should sex last according to women? And it was indeed written by a woman writer. And she did her own poll. And I will say, at least she did a nod to the fact that it wasn't inclusive. So I appreciated that. And she included non-binary people. I have to assume these are non-binary people who have vulvas and vaginas. Because again, it went right back to penetrative sex. She did include asking women about foreplay as well. And the results that came back were once again sort of stunning to me. What she found was, on average, what the women said is they wanted penetrative sex to last between 5 to 10 minutes, and then throw in like maybe 15-ish minutes of foreplay and done. And what I found most interesting was this writer, when some of the women would answer, like, I'd like to have about an hour of sexy time. She was like, oh, that's way too much. Like, good on you, but that's overwhelming. And I'm like, how the fuck are you people fucking? Like, I know sometimes you just like want to bang one out before bed, but that's sad to me. I don't know. I love having hours of sex.
Well, I think once again, when she is like, oh, that's too long, she's thinking purely on mating.
No, she threw foreplay. She said this was the average like sexual interaction that these women wanted.
An hour was too long, including foreplay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was, I mean, and that was kind of repeated. And from what she was pulling, these women, everyone's kind of like, they want about what it looks like 25 minutes, more than 25 minutes, and you're pushing it for sex. Is that how you fuck?
Well, I mean,
you've been married for a long time. Do you?
Right.
Is that what? Tell me, as a married woman.
Well, as a married woman, it all depends. And then, age, work, stress. There's so many aspects.
Right.
Ideally, though, I don't think an hour's too long. Like an hour of intimacy. I mean, maybe if you're talking like longer than a movie. I don't. I'm trying to think of my attention span.
The irony of that, Deanna, is as she made a comment, she a reference to a movie, like, who can do it for the length of a movie? And I'm like, me. Oh, and I think for me, some of it is like, it takes me a long time to come. And then here's kind of the kick in the pants for people who fuck me. Like after I come, that's when I really want to fuck. I don't know. When I think of sex, though, I think of everything from like when you start making out and getting gropey to foreplay, which for me can go on for quite a bit of time. And foreplay, hey guys, spoiler alert, foreplay is sex.
Yes.
Right. So when you're going down on a woman or a woman's going down on you, that you're already engaging in sex. That is sex.
Or even just like groping.
Fingering.
Rubbing over the clothes.
Dry humping.
Right. That's a sexual act.
And you're having sex.
It's part of sexual pleasure. Anything that brings you sexual pleasure
is sex. Yeah, you're having sex. So, I don't know. I like, I get sometimes you got to just bang it out. But I like the build-up, which can take on so many forms. And if you're like me and you have, a drawer full of toys, like I like to use a couple different toys in a session. And then, penetration is great. Whether I'm with somebody who has a penis or someone who has a fake penis or a dildo or a whatever. Like penetration is great. I also would say I don't want to just be penetrated for 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. I think the reason why women feel that way is because it's like, okay, we make out, you go down and suck on my pussy a little bit and you make sure I'm wet and then you stick your penis in, pound, 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 come and done. But that's not how you fuck, guys. That's not how you fuck.
No, and I think that might be part of it too, is it's almost seen as a chore or an obligation.
And a routine.
Yeah, like I'm obligated to let you stick your penis in me.
Right.
Because that's what I need to do as a woman. I think even though we want to think we're very progressive and we've come a long way as a society and as women, I think still we really have those things ingrained in us to where, we see ourselves kind of in the submissive role when it comes to men and women.
Right.
Even if we say we don't. Even if we say, oh no, I'm a feminist, fuck the patriarchy.
Right.
It's just ingrained in us because of how we've been raised, how society is.
Right.
And so I think when you kind of come to terms with that, that's when you can get beyond that and you can kind of, because I'll admit there were times when I was like, oh God, yeah, 5 minutes, please, just 5 minutes.
Just pound it out.
Yeah, let's just get this done. Because I didn't think it was really about me. It wasn't about me. It was more about my male partner.
Taking care of his needs.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to assume, I'm sure there are plenty of men, if you're with men, who do just want to like pound it like they don't care how interested you are. But my experience, like that's not what they're looking for. And you know what was really powerful to me when I was in a heteronormative marriage-like situation and having sex was the day I realized I could say to my husband at the time, I am not obligated to fuck you. I'm not obligated to, to take care of this need. And I'm less than having to say that to him. It was something I had to say to myself. Like, I am under no obligation to take care of this need if I'm not feeling it. I do need to look at like, what is that about? And how am I going to be fair to my partner who has needs if I don't want to meet them for one reason or another? Mm-hmm. I think that when you're in that kind of dynamic with someone where you're just like, let's just pound it out and get it done. We need to get our 2 times in this week. Then yeah, if you're in that frame of mind, then yeah, like 5 to 10 minutes in and out. Let's get this done, and I can see how that can kind of happen in any relationship, but I don't think that should be the norm.
No. And then going back on what you said about, you're not obligated to satisfy that need of your partner and, how to kind of handle that. When we need to eat, we get ourselves food.
Right.
When we need to go to the bathroom, we take ourselves to the bathroom. When we need that release, if there's no one there who's going to give that to you, you're an adult.
Masturbate.
You can give that to yourself.
Give it to yourself.
Right.
If you don't want to put the energy in.
So just like, I'm not obligated to satisfy that need of yours. You're not obligated to satisfy that need of mine.
Right.
So if we have that need at a different time, we can take care of that need as adults ourselves.
Right. And I think people need to be more comfortable with that. But you can definitely get into this like frame of mind of obligatory sex with your partner. And also just feeling like, well, if we're not having sex, things aren't great. And maybe that's true. But I think maybe the question really should be more, how long should good sex last? And good sex, in my mind, it's not about penetration. It's not about ejaculation. It's about like all of the intimate stuff, all of the play. Like, I think we've talked before a little bit about how sex between 2 people or 3 people or however many people you invite into your sex circle is about, it really is a time to like get to play with your partner and be creative sexually. And I think good sex is however long you can like sit and really enjoy each other. Like you get to get naked and touch each other's body and do fun things. And sometimes it's like, oh, we're in an elevator or we've got 5 minutes till friends come and you're like so hot, you just want to bang it out.
Right.
And that's sexy and hot. A little 10-minute like hiding in the next room and fucking, that's really hot. But when it becomes, oh, let's bang for 15 minutes, just go down and lick my pussy first so it's wet and then stick your dick in, that's not good sex.
No. And I really think this doesn't have a definitive answer because it depends. It depends on where your mindset is at the time. It depends on other elements. It depends on you as a person.
Yeah. Well, don't you think, all right, so it's a very cock-centric question. Let's be honest.
It is.
I think most of what people want to know is that are looking up this question want to know, how long should my cock stay hard? That's what I'm assuming is that this is a question posed, Googled, searched by men who are concerned about longevity. And I want to say this, it doesn't matter how long you stay hard.
No.
I have had, and I'll tell you a story, a very good, a fantastic specific story of some amazing sex I had with a man who had a penis, who was heterosexual. And it didn't actually end up involving his penis at all. I was traveling. I matched with him. we went on a date and we just like connected. It was amazing. I met his friends that night. I mean, it was like this whole adventure. And of course, it ended up back at his house and we had drinks and had drinks at his friend's house. Both of us were like, had definitely boozy and went to start messing around. Got to what would have typically have been the penetrative sex point, and whiskey dick happened. And looking back to that night, I don't even remember that aspect of it because it didn't stop anything. We actually continued to have sex all night long, despite, the booze having affected his ability to get erection. And it was amazing sex. And he was not self-conscious about it. It wasn't something we even talked about. I just, and I don't know, I think part of it might be that because I do have sex with women, that just wasn't really an issue for me because there's so many other things to do. As we had sex for the night and the next morning came and, he was going to drop me off and we were just like, oh my God, that was like an incredible night. It was just an incredible night. And he actually, we kept in touch and saw each other off and on for a while after, he would actually have to remind me that we didn't have penetrative sex that night. I just didn't think about it. It was like, of course we had sex. It was sex and it was amazing. It was some of the best sex I had had in forever. And that's how I remember it. Yeah. And there was no penetration. I mean, of penis and vagina. There was definitely other kinds of penetration. And it ranks very highly in my sexual experiences. And I think that is something for men to hear, a story for men to hear and really take to heart.
Yeah,
can we just cheers to awesome sex that has nothing to do with penetrative penis and ejaculation,
right?
And, all that. I mean, not that the penis is still nice. It was nice that it was there. It just wasn't. It was not the point. The penis isn't the point.
For our male listeners, I really hope what you can get out of this is you don't need to search how long. If you are really excited and into your partner and you come after having your dick in her for 2 minutes, that's okay. That doesn't mean the world has ended, and it doesn't mean things are stopping. We're not stopping the line.
Don't stop there.
Because you came.
Right.
And honestly, I don't think it's women that put this expectation on men. It's other men. Because I have only heard other men comment on men, oh, you probably can't even stay hard. But women, that's not a problem.
Can I tell you, I feel a little bit proud when someone goes to fuck me and they come real quick. Because it makes me feel like I'm really hot. But it's only okay if then they continue to do the work. And so I would say if you're worried about the fact, let's say that you happen to fear coming quickly, just get a bag of tricks, man. Get a bag of tricks.
Yeah.
And be willing to use your hand and be willing to use your mouth and be willing to explore her body and use your words. Fuck her with your words for hours. And she'll forget how long you were in her. And then also you might just work up another hard on and fuck her again. And then she'll be like, you got it up twice. So that is for our male listeners. For our, let's talk about queer sex and how long it should last. I mean, that's a legitimate question. Deanna, I have definitely, maybe I address these topics less because I feel lost. Have you ever been fucking, a woman and thought to yourself, when does this end?
No. But, I mean, I think the answer is the same no matter what. I think what we need to address is what's harder when you're with a woman is it's kind of easier to kind of figure out where that end is with a male partner.
Not only do they go limp, they get sleepy.
Right.
That seems to be very much a man thing.
But with a woman partner, there really isn't that.
No.
And so you kind of have to.
Also, can I add, there isn't that. And we also like to continue to emotionally fuck each other for a while. Like, there's the physical intimacy, but we are simultaneously emotionally fucking each other. And it's like, okay, at what point do we stop and go to sleep?
Right. So, I mean, the question would be, how do I respectfully, or what is the etiquette to tap out?
Tap out. Oh, God.
And I never really thought about that before.
I did. I
think it's just, I mean, there has to be some communication.
Yes.
But of course, okay, so.
It's easy to say, but if you're trying to, like, so look, as a bi woman, let's be honest. When we get in bed with a woman, as bi women, it is challenging for us for many reasons. Again, not meant for this podcast, but actually getting to the point where you're in bed with a woman, it's like sometimes this, like, like, it's an amazing moment. And you're like, I'm here and I'm going to give it my everything. So having gotten there, you don't want to be the one that's like, hey. Am I done yet?
Ding, 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 time out.
I can't feel my fingers anymore. I mean, I do. I'm going to tell a little funny story.
Ooh, do tell.
So, and it was really the first time I found myself thinking about men and like feeling like, God, do they feel this way sometimes? I was dating a woman this last summer, or like early last summer. And simultaneously, listeners, I was building my own tiny home with my bare hands. And I am a small woman. I wouldn't say I'm particularly strong, or I've not done a lot of hard labor in my life. And I was doing legit hard labor. I was digging a sewer trench, for a month. 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yes.
And what happened during this time was my hands became inflamed. I guess that's the only way to explain it. If you are a guy out there who's done hard labor, I am assuming you totally know what I'm talking about. But at some point, my hands, like, I would go to bed at night and they would just be fucking throbbing. When I would walk down the street and it was very hot. It was like the hot part of the summer. I had to hold my hands up so the blood wouldn't wouldn't run down to my fingertips and just throb there. That's how bad it was. Extremely painful. And I was dating this woman at the time. And she was an anomaly to me. She really loved penetrative pounding. So what would bring her to orgasm was using my hand like a cock and fucking her, that way, which was really fun. It wasn't something I had done before. However, what I learned is that this could go on, because, I could do it for a while and then she'd come and then she'd be ready again. She'd come and it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And my hands, oh my God, my hands during that time, it wasn't from the beginning, but at one point it was like my fucking hand was in so much pain. And I would be fucking her thinking to myself, how long until I can stop? How long is long enough, dear God? And so I really was caught up in that moment. And I had this moment of I didn't feel like men necessarily had that same problem, but I started to understand the need for knowing, what is the time limit? When is it fair to say enough's enough? And I didn't want to blow it, right? So because I was, I liked her. I didn't want to, it's hard to say to someone who's still really enjoying it and someone you want to impress and someone you want to keep turned on and thinking you're sexy and this sex god or goddess. It's hard to say, hey, I need to go put my fucking hand on ice.
I need an ice bath for my hand.
Or whatever for guys. It's like, I need to give him a little time to get back up. So it can happen in non-heterosexual situations.
Yeah, it can. I mean, there has to be. I mean, when it's not pleasurable for both people, it should be over. I would think.
I want to get on board with that. But as a woman who takes some time to come, sometimes, well, you're right. I always want to think my partner is, sometimes you got to fake it. I want to think, I guess I'm being selfish. I'm like, not only do I need you to get me off, I need you to make me believe that you're enjoying every fucking second of it.
Well, I mean, if you're not enjoying every second of it, why are you here?
Well, I don't want to know. They're here to get me off.
But I mean, because, when you're in a sexual act with another person,
right? When
one of those people is no longer having pleasure.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's not fair to that person.
But I mean, then we're back to the beginning, Deanna. What if that guy who comes in 5 minutes, and this is a real thing. Look, I had a lesbian on this show. I don't know if you guys listened to the trimming, scissoring episode, but go back and listen to it. I don't know if she spoke to it there, but I have spoken to a lesbian who was like, after I come, I'm just done having sex. She goes into that, what's called, refractory period, where she's like, it's no longer pleasurable to fuck around at all. So what happens then if you end up with a partner, a male partner, a female partner who's like that? They come really quick. You've got me over here who like, fuck, even when I'm fucking myself, like 10 to 15 minutes would be like amazing. And what if they're just done and it's no longer and I'm never reaching my orgasm? Then what do you do?
Well, I mean, that's when you guys need to figure out how you can make it work to where both people are getting what they need out of it.
Right. But, so maybe that's the thing. Sex should last as long as it takes for both people to get what they need out of it, while not leaving one person fucking when they don't want to.
Right.
It's just cheers to, we don't have a fucking clear answer for you. All right. So I do have some thoughts on how we can help everyone though.
And how's that?
I would say if you are someone that comes quickly and you're with someone who doesn't come quickly, then you got to do a lot of work up front before you stick your dick in, or before you, whatever it is that's going on. You've got to make sure the other person, like in my case, like I said, like it takes me quite a while to come the first time. And then after I come the first time, I really want to have sex. I really, really want penetrative sex. And at that point, after I've already had an orgasm, like 5 to 10 minutes of penetration, I'm like, I could just enjoy all the penetration. So I think it's really like each partner has to know what they need and want. You have to talk about how that can be met. Mm-hmm. I think also finding the right sexual match is really important. I enjoy partners who want to like spend time, like let's say we're watching a movie. Like we can watch a movie, put a little vibrator on me while we watch the movie together. After an hour and a half of that, I'll be ready to go in bed.
Hey.
I mean, you can start playing with each other long before you actually like get hot and heavy into it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, they say sexual relationship for a reason. So when you're intimate with someone, that is a sexual relationship, and all relationships take work, take compromise, communication, some give and take. And so you need, it doesn't sound fun. You need to treat it like a relationship, but it is a relationship. You are in a relationship with this person. So I think we don't want to think about the work part of it, but there is the work part of it. And, I think it's really important that if you have a male partner, that you make it clear to them that you're not watching the clock. You don't have a stopwatch going as soon as they start penetrating you to make sure that they are performing up to par.
Oh.
Because that is not what is important.
Right.
If we were mating, that would be the focus.
Right.
But we're being intimate and we're giving pleasure to each other. And so if you come in 30 seconds or in 30 minutes, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, what matters is that we both are feeling that we're getting equal time and equal energy.
Right. And that your partner really wants to turn you on.
Yeah.
And please you. I think for both men and women, because at least in my experience, I've been with both men and women. And again, I've said this again and again, at least at this point in my dating life, I have not been with trans or non-binary people. So I only speak to my own experience. And I think the most important thing, because as being someone who definitely is never the first one to have an orgasm, unless my partner is like making sure that I am having an orgasm first, it's important to me that my partner knows that sex doesn't end with their orgasm and that I don't have to ask for that. And that they, you know what I mean? If they're going to go ahead and come first, they, you know, need to still be interested. Like I cannot continue to be with someone. I would not continue to be in a sexual relationship with someone who thought it all ended when they came, even if I didn't. Because first of all, I think I get self-conscious about the fact, like, I really want to be like those. Like, if I had a dick and I came in 5 minutes, I mean, that would be amazing. I mean, you still have so many other, I don't even have a dick. I don't even have a dick. And when I fuck a woman, like, so what? If my dick was done in 5 minutes, well, I've got a hand and I've got a mouth and I've got toys. And so let's talk tips.
All right.
Let's talk tips for having good sex, regardless of it. Like if you come quick, if that's one of your problems, whether you are a woman or a man. But specifically, I think let's start with guys. Let's start with guys. Also, for all of you ladies out there who are saying, I only want like 10 to 15 or 5 to 10 minutes of penetration. Like, I want to talk to you. Because I also used to be like that. And now, in my most recent experiences, I have like really enjoyed penetration, and it can literally go on for, and not go on, but cumulatively be like a half hour, 45 minutes.
Well, and you know, what's interesting is, so much can play into how long penetration you want, like, past trauma, the relationship, what's going on inside your head, like so much, your body,
how lubricated you are.
Yeah. Or, I mean, the anatomy of yourself. I mean, there's some times when I 5 minutes penetration is fine by me, but it's because of my anatomy. Like it physically hurts. And no one really talks about those things. Right. So there's so many factors that play in, and we just seem to pinhole it. Right. And it is such a vast, vast thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, like, so I said earlier, I can have penetration that goes on for like a half hour or more, but that's not all with necessarily a cock, even when my partner has a cock. So, I mean, because again, it does take me longer to have an orgasm. I don't expect, and really my orgasms don't necessarily come from penetration, but I love to have an orgasm while I'm being penetrated if I can. I like penetration. I like it when it starts with fingers, and then we have a toy, and then maybe the cock, and then the cock, you know, maybe it comes, so I'm not done, and then it's fingers again and other toys and mixing it up. And that can go on for a long time for me. I have recently discovered, while I don't come quickly, I have multiple orgasms. I think that's why I like, I have an orgasm, and then I'm like, my body's like, okay, it sucks for you that it took us this long, but now let's like go.
Now it's
And so finding, like, there are so many different ways to be penetrated. And if you have a partner who's into you and your body and pleasuring you, it takes, and I've kind of discovered this not through necessarily my female partners, but through my male partners. I've been lucky to have a male partner who is really into, like, obviously really like his cock and my pussy, but then was really into exploring how to pleasure me with other toys that penetrated me. And that took away the pressure altogether. Like, come in 5 minutes if you want. It doesn't matter, because there are all of these other ways that we can continue to have sex. I think the big thing for, I would say, well, apparently both men and women, to master, if you are someone that comes quickly and then goes into a refractory period where you no longer experience, like, you're kind of like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to really fuck around. I don't feel sexy at all anymore. Like, you need to work on that. You need to work on that, or you're selfish. You're a selfish lover. Or you got to find someone else who also comes in 5 minutes, and that's what makes them happy.
Or what you need to do is learn ways to hold off on your kind of
orgasm.
You
have to.
Yeah. Like, if you are a man with a dick and you know that as soon as I put this in that wet pussy, I got 5 minutes tops.
Right.
And it's over. And then I'm going to be needing a nap. And you know that she needs more than 5 minutes, then hold off on sticking your dick in that wet pussy.
Yeah, like, absolutely. Do lots of other things up front.
Yeah.
Learn to love.
There's
like,
fun things to do.
so many fun things. Get into toys. Get into using your hand. Get into using your tongue.
Yeah.
Find ways to be, like, excited by her body and having the opportunity to touch her. There are also things you can do. And again, like, I'm sure GQ has all of the tips for this, but, you know, you can put your cock in and then do that squeeze thing that keeps you from coming. And I mean, there's all of those basic tips to, like, you know, put it in, pull it out, use something else, wait until you calm down. But if you come first and you haven't taken care of her and you want to take a nap, too fucking bad.
Right.
Too fucking
Rude.
bad.
And
Rude. Rude.
And if you're not excited and turned on by her to where you're perfectly fine with focusing on her because, you know, you got that 5 minutes, you shouldn't be with her. Like, if you were not excited about the person is there and that person is just someone to get you off, get yourself a fleshlight or a watermelon or warm cantaloupe, whatever you need. But that's not her job.
Or a sex worker.
Right.
Right. Pay a woman out there who is doing that for a job, because
you should be turned on by that person you're being intimate with.
Right.
And if you're not turned on by them and you're just there to get off, then go get a sex worker who that's their job. That's what they are there, and you can compensate them for that or take care of it yourself.
Take care of it yourself, because it doesn't feel good, I think, to be someone's partner who does that and you get left. And I have listened to so many women talk about, I've heard terrible stories about women who, you know, are with a guy and he rolls over, humps her, and then rolls over and goes to sleep. And when she's just laying there, I know I've probably been there in the past. It's been quite a while. I don't do that anymore. I'm very selfish. When I was not even selfish, but I just said that and that's not right, but whatever. When I was all the way up into my 20s into college, I was a performative sex person. Like, I thought a woman got her status by being a good lay. So it was very much like I was performing to make men think that I was very good in bed. And then one day I woke up and I was like, this sucks. I'm not having orgasms. And I got very selfish. And it kind of almost flipped the other way. Like, I'm not doing this unless you can get me off.
Right.
And now I really love the energetic exchange. I love having sex when I can really be with someone who wants to play and get dirty and try different things and be exploratory and, you know, and explore, go on sexual adventures. Like it's a fun adult thing to do that can be very healthy.
Right.
But I do think, and I'm going to share a little thing. At one point, not so long ago, I want to say maybe 6 years ago, I did realize like I would have this huge sex drive that was going on. But the minute I came, there's that meme out there that I think is so funny. It's like this woman who's scrawling the word whore on the mirror. And it's like after you've, just had an orgasm and like realized all the text you sent while you were horny that you wish you could take back. Like I would have this incredible sex drive where I would get really horny and kinky and certainly sexed in very inappropriate, wonderful ways. And then the minute I had an orgasm, I would really experience that refractory period because I was alone. The minute I had the orgasm, my head would come out of that and I would feel a lot of shame around all of the thoughts I had. And I worked really hard because I knew that some of that refractory period and the drop of my sex drive was attached to shame. Then I would go back into that shame place of like, oh, you dirty whore, Annette. Why would you send that text? Why would you think that thing? Why would you want that thing? Why would you ever want that? And now I'm like, oh yeah. So I did a lot of work to get past the sex drive dropping off the minute I came. And now look at me. Now I have an orgasm. I'm like, let's go.
Right. And I think so I am the parent of millennials. And I think that's one thing I really respect and like about millennials is they don't have shame in their desires. And that's amazing.
Can you even imagine?
Like, my daughter might kill me for this, but she might not. But my daughter is very open about the fact that she loves toys and she has been single and she's fine being single and she is open about using those toys. And I thought about it, and when I was her age, I would be mortified if anyone knew I had a vibrator. I would.
But do you remember the vibrators from our generation? Right. They were like made of like hard plastic.
Well, they were loud too.
Oh God. God. Or
I would be mortified if anyone knew that I masturbated.
Right.
And I'm like, if only I felt that free and didn't have the shame that I had. And that's really refreshing. And I understand, we see all the memes about millennials and there are some downfalls, but there's downfalls to all generations. I'm a Gen Xer and we've got our downfalls too.
So many.
But one thing I really respect about millennials is they really just are open about their wants, their needs, and their desires.
Right. Well,
and let's cheers to that.
Millennials. I'll tell you what, Deanna, all the younger generations, I had to hop on their ride. I mean, it's been Deanna and I are both Gen Xers. And certainly, I think for us, it's been more of a struggle to be, to rid ourselves of the shame that we grew up in. And seriously, I think I can safely say that a lot of Gen X women started out having really bad sex with Gen X guys.
Yep.
Gen X guys, you got a little bit of ways to go. But I mean, I think also we have to own the fact that we don't have to own it. We had a lot of shame placed upon us, and now we're all just dirty little whores.
We had a lot of blame.
Yeah, so now I just want to have a lot of long-lasting, fun, good sex. And guess what? Sex has, again, when I say that, it's not about your cock and how hard it stays and for how long. It's about how long you can stay in the headspace, the fucking headspace, literally the fucking headspace where you're just having fun and playing with me and enjoying my body and I'm enjoying yours and we're sharing our fantasies and we're, sometimes laughing and sometimes, that atmosphere when you're in a bedroom with someone and you're able to play, fucking, you can't get into that in 25 minutes.
Right.
That is not a 25-minute fuck. That is hour or 2 hours, and not that I would expect that every night. Certainly I don't expect that every night, but a couple times a week. Yeah. I want to pull out 7 toys and, start with a glass of champagne at dinner and get a little dirty and then exchange some oral sex and then play with the toy. And then maybe if the person I'm dating has a cock, then that comes into play for a while and then it gets put away and then we do other,
Right.
I would like sex, actual sex for me, at least like in a long-term relationship. I would want sex at least once a week, probably twice a week, that would last a couple of an hour or two of just like, that's what we're doing tonight. We're getting naked. Mm-hmm. We can have dinner in bed while we do it. What I want it to last for a while. And then, a night or two outside of that, then we can do the quicker version if that's what's needed.
Quickie in the shower.
I did have one night where my partner and I were watching a movie and he watched a movie while I, laid on top of him and I used a clit sucking toy on myself and he rubbed my legs until I came, and then the movie ended and we went and had great sex, and that was awesome. That's me, great. That was a long sex session with a little break.
And I like how you mentioned, you can stop and laugh. You can have, like, while you're having sex, and we all have agreed now that it's not just penetration, that it's not. It's that pleasure, that act of pleasure. And, sometimes you something will happen because things happen and you laugh a little and then you're like laying there and you're laughing about it.
And you can talk for a while.
And you're talking and then you go back. Like, that's still part of the sex act. So that's, the timer's still clicking, people. That's right. That time.
You're still fucking her.
That's right.
But, that's so funny because I used to, Deanna, the thing that's funny is the kind of sex we're talking about right now. I used to refer to as girl sex. That was the kind of sex I had with women. And I mean, like, because sex with women, because again, the question is, how long we still haven't answered that. Like with women, because there isn't this traditionally defined, it starts with this, it ends with that, based around a dick. Girl sex can really go on for a long time. And so for a long time, I was like, oh, that's girl sex, where we get together and we start drinking and then we start like touching and there's so much to explore. And then like we fuck, whether that's oral sex or penetrative with my fingers or a toy. And then we, I thought of that as girl sex or queer sex, I suppose. But what I've realized is this idea of what's heteronormative sex versus queer sex is problematic. I feel like it's problematic for, everybody, but specifically heterosexual people. Like heterosexual people can enjoy this exact same kind of sex that queer people do.
Right, because sex is sex.
That's right. That's right. And I really feel, my heart kind of goes out for people that think that there should be something so different between how everybody's fucking.
Right.
Like it's not, like it's all about pleasure. And I think that one of the reasons why I loved our podcast, the Semen Facial podcast, was because we did talk about how men or people with penises coming on the face of someone else was thought of as so dirty and bad. And there was that moment when we were talking and we said, well, it's like, no, that's like the person you love. It's their body fluids. And I mean, sex is all about these kinds of exchanges. Right. And why would I think that was bad? Right. And that's because of these ideas of what's the norm for healthy heteronormative sex. And I would suggest that what's been considered healthy heteronormative sex is actually quite unhealthy. The fact that anybody would feel like ashamed because they have a cock and can't keep from coming, or like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or keep it up long enough, or all of that. That's sad to me.
I mean, pharmaceuticals are making lots of money on that.
Oh, fuck. That's true. I mean, it's sad to me, but also it's true. Like our health system then is like, here's a pill for you.
So, my partner, when he went in to see his new provider. This was, I don't know, years ago. He gave him his checkout paper, and he knew that he had one medication. So he went to pick up his medication, and he actually had 2 medications prescribed for him. One of them was Viagra.
Shut up.
He did not ask for it. He didn't even ask for it.
Did he try it out though?
Oh, of course. But he didn't ask for it.
How rude.
And so he, was checking in with his provider over whatever. I forget even what he was being seen for. But he's checking him. And his provider, the first thing he asked him was, do you need more Viagra? And he's like, oh, well, I'll put in a prescription. So if you want it. And my husband's all, I'm not even asking for it.
Wow.
Of course he gave it to you because, you need to be able to puff that puppy up.
Right.
But, and it was funny because then there's my husband who now is like, did he give it to me because I'm at that age where, things don't perform like they did when we were younger? Am I not? And then he asked me, do I need Viagra? I'm like, no. I really regret the day that Viagra came out.
Do you?
I do, because I think that it has just really ingrained in men that they have to perform a certain way.
And they have to last.
And they have to last. Erectile dysfunction. It's not a dysfunction.
Right.
It happens. And when you talk about it as a dysfunction, that's shaming.
Right.
I mean, and as being a woman, we deal with shaming all the time.
Right.
And I know how that feels, and so I feel really bad. And now you've got the bentcarrot.com. Like, okay, now guys out there that dick has a curve, now they all are going to have shame in it.
Right.
And I think we're really good at shaming people for the dumbest things.
Yeah, I would agree that.
Just to make money.
I want them to come out with a pill that makes me have orgasms quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, why can't they give me that?
Why can't they?
They can get dicks hard.
Right.
Hmm?
Why can't they?
I don't know. Start wrapping this up with like some advice. So you're on the internet. You're Googling, how long should sex last? Let's make the assumption it's someone with a penis who's worried about it. Let's start there. Advice for that person, Deanna.
First of all, clear your search bar and instead Google ways to turn on a woman sexually without my penis.
I love that.
That's my first bit of advice.
I like it. Or ways to satisfy a woman without my dick.
Yes.
Yes. That's it. I mean, that's all we need to, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what you need. Change your brain, change your thoughts, change your focus.
There is no stopwatch under her pillow, under her boob, wherever you think she might be hiding
Deanna has big boobs. All right. No one, like under your boob. Jesus Christ. I do not have big boobs. If I did, I would definitely put a stopwatch under it.
If they come in handy for storage sometimes. But yeah, clear that search bar and search what is really important. And that is not focusing on how long your dick lasts, but focusing on how you can pleasure your partner.
Well, I'm not going to add to that. I like it. Period. All right. Now wait. The person Googling is a female.
Okay.
See, look, we aren't so sassy when we're talking.
Okay.
We should say the same thing, but let's just be honest. That's not what we're.
So I want her to clear that search bar. And what you're going to search is how to communicate my needs to my partner during sex.
That's specifically for bisexual women.
Right. If you're a If you're a heterosexual female, clear your search bar and put in how to communicate ways for my male partner to arouse me without his dick.
I like it. All right. I'm going to challenge you. What do you think lesbians should put in their search bar?
Oh. Ooh.
And she looks scared.
No,
because
I'm not scared.
Oh,
I'm just gonna have to think.
I am. Oh, fuck. We're bi women. We don't really know.
Okay. Okay, all my lesbian friends that are searching how long should sex last. Clear that search bar. What I want you to type in is, how, as a woman, can I communicate with another woman about my sexual needs?
Do you think there's even an article about that out there?
There has to be.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of advanced for our society, but that's the first thing I'm gonna search out there. Because I will say, in my own sex life, communicating with female partners about sex has been so much harder for me than with men. Now I feel like I've got the whole communicate with man thing down pretty. Oh, is that true? Anyways,
I mean, communication's hard.
It is hard, and it's so necessary. So outside of that, dudes, you've got a quick fix, which is Viagra, in which case you're only going to put a Band-Aid on the problem. And ladies, just don't try to dig a ditch for months in advance and lift some weights and use that hand until she finally goes to sleep. That's what I did. I think that's all we got. Yeah. Wait, is that all we got?
I don't know. Check it out.
Oh, what should signify the end of sex and this podcast?
Well, we touched base on this before. The end of sex is when both people or all people involved.
If it's group sex.
Because it could not just be two.
Yeah.
When everyone involved has had their desirable, pleasurable needs of that moment met.
How about needs within a reason?
Within reason, yes.
You know, you can get selfish.
Right.
Sometimes,
no, we don't want to be selfish because how would we feel if our partner did that to us?
That's right.
So when everyone that's at the table playing this fun little game of sex, when they are like, oh God, that was great. When everyone is like, oh, that was great.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied.
When you're all ready.
I'm satisfied realistically.
When you're ready to get out the calendar and schedule your next session.
Right.
That's when it's done.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've answered this question in a real roundabout way.
We answered it, though.
I mean, we did answer it. We've given some good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We've given some good thoughts. Now, I did talk a lot about sex toys. If you go over to sheexploreslife.com and you look at the sex and relationship menu button and you go down to sex toys, you're going to see a lot of articles about sex toys. If you go to our YouTube channel, Annette Benedetti on YouTube, I've been putting up videos of me reviewing sex toys, and I've got a bunch of them to review hopefully in the next couple of weeks. There's going to be more and more going up, so go on over to that or scroll down to the description of this podcast and just click away on, I've got links. I'll have links to sex toys. I'll have links to YouTube channel, She Explores Life, and some of the sex toys in the description of this podcast will have discount codes. They're ones I really like that I'm using on myself regularly that I think you should get. Also, to all of my listeners, I don't care what gender you are. I don't care about your sexual orientation. I want your questions, comments, thoughts, topics. You could decide the topic of our next episode. So please, please, please DM me on our social medias or send me an email. Send me your comments. Maybe someday, I'll talk to you directly. But I'd love to hear what you're thinking, all of you. Until then, how long should sex last? Well, you've listened to the podcast. How long do you think it should last? I'd like to hear. Deanna?
Annette.
Until next time.
Till next time, cheers.
Cheers. See you in the locker room.